Dear friends, welcome to the YouTube channel O Subhas. From now onwards, we will upload the audio podcasts of important episodes in English, keeping in mind about the requests from the friends who don't understand Bengali, and also about the international audiences. This initiative might be helpful for those who actually have difficulties related to prolonged screen exposure. Listen to the English audio podcast of the episode 44, which is about the views of Deshbandhu, and Subhas Chandra Bose about class struggle, and give your feedback. Thank you. Keep in touch with the channel.
We are taking a deep dive into the really fascinating world of early 20th century Indian politics.
Our mission, basically, is to unpack how two absolute titans of the independence movement, that's Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das and Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, how they viewed this crucial idea of class struggle.
And to give you the full picture, we're also going to look at a really different perspective, right? From Manibendranath Roy.
M.N. Roy, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a radically different take on the whole revolutionary path.
Yeah.
We've been digging into a great YouTube video transcript about these leaders.
Right. And the goal is to give you a super clear understanding of their unique ways of thinking about bringing the ordinary person, the common person, into India's fight for freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You should walk away from this deep dive with hopefully a richer, more nuanced grasp of just how complex things were, the different ideologies bumping up against each other within the independence movement.
Yeah, expect some surprising facts, maybe some aha moments about how these leaders actually saw the future, of a free India. Okay, let's unpack this.
So when we look back at the Indian independence movement, especially the early days, it's kind of striking. The Indian National Congress, even as Gandhi was starting to unite people, it was still largely an organization for the upper classes, the elite.
So decisions were mostly made by just a handful of people.
Pretty much, yeah, a select few.
So even with Gandhi pushing for mass involvement, the Congress itself wasn't quite there yet. Why were they hesitant to bring in workers and farmers?
Oh, that's a great question. There wasn't really a concerted effort, not initially.
Yeah.
And many Congress leaders did have hesitations about it.
Right, and Subhas Chandra Bose, he saw this too, didn't he? He noted this lack of real mass inclusion within the Congress back then?
He definitely did. It was, as you said, very much an elite affair at the start.
Okay.
And this is exactly where Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das comes in, is such a key figure. He really challenged that whole setup.
How so?
Well, he was the first major leader to declare that Swaraj, self-rule, it had to be for every single citizen, not just a select few.
Wow, not just the educated or the wealthy.
Exactly. And what was really radical was he had zero hesitation about actively getting the workers and farmers involved in the movement.
That really does sound like a huge shift. How did he actually, put that into practice? What did he do to champion these groups?
He was very proactive. Take his thinking on the labor movement. It was articulated really powerfully, actually, through Basanti Devi at the Chittagong Provincial Congress in 1922.
Okay.
He stressed this critical need to organize trade unions. His argument was basically, look, you can't have national welfare if you don't improve the lives of the workers.
Makes sense.
He was blunt about it, too. He pointed out that exploiters were pocketing all the wealth the workers created, while the workers themselves just suffered.
So he wasn't afraid to call it out?
Not at all. He believed national associations had to work with trade unions, get workers participating regularly.
And his commitment didn't stop there, right? After he got out of prison in 22, after the Chara incident.
Yeah, that incident that made Gandhi suspend the non-cooperation movement.
Right. After that, Deshbandhu started thinking about new approaches, which led to the Swaraj Party.
Exactly. And in his presidential address at the Gaya Congress, he really hammered home this point. Workers' interests need special attention. He talked about their oppression by foreign merchants and how farmers were often crushed by the bureaucracy. He even directly challenged the idea that fighting for workers could ever be seen as anti-national. How could it be?
It's fascinating. And that connects to his skepticism about the middle class running things, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Deshbandhu just didn't believe the middle class, on its own, could bring Swaraj for all the people.
Why not? What was his reasoning?
He famously asked, how does India actually benefit if we just replace a white bureaucracy with an Indian middle-class one?
Ah, right. Change the faces, but not the system.
Precisely. He said, bureaucracy is bureaucracy. It doesn't matter who's in charge unless the people themselves are genuinely empowered.
So for him, Swaraj without the masses involved wasn't really Swaraj at all. It would just be...
It's just another form of control, exactly.
Yeah.
He thought the whole concept of Swaraj was fundamentally incompatible with bureaucratic rule unless the masses were active participants in achieving it. Otherwise, he warned, it would just end up being a sort of Western-style bourgeois government. And he strongly believed, actually, that the working class was more inherently freedom-loving than the middle class.
Really?
Yeah. He famously said something like, "I don't care about the bourgeois, they are few. The public will know Swaraj for the public."
Wow. Swaraj for the public. That's powerful. And it wasn't just talk, was it? That pledge he made.
At the All India Trade Union Congress, the AITUC session in Lahore, 1923, it was remarkable.
What did he say exactly?
He highlighted that something like 98% of India's population was workers and farmers. 98%.
Incredible.
And then he made this powerful declaration. If the middle class managed to achieve Swaraj on their own, and if he was still alive, he would stand shoulder to shoulder with the workers and farmers to fight again, to seize power from what he called the selfish classes.
Fight again. Against the Indian middle class, potentially.
That's the implication. Fight for true Swaraj for the masses. It shows just how deep his commitment was.
Okay, so that's Deshbandhu's vision. Now let's bring in this other figure, Manibendranath Roy. You said he offered a very different path.
Very different indeed. M.N. Roy, his original name was Narendranath Bhattacharya. He started out as a revolutionary nationalist, part of the Anushilan Samiti. Bhagat was his leader.
Okay, so he started in the nationalist camp.
Right. But then he went through this major ideological shift. He became a communist, an atheist.
And how did that change his view on India's independence?
Fundamentally, he actually came to oppose Indianness or Bharatiyata, viewing nationalism itself as problematic. He prioritized internationalism.
So the global class struggle over India's national freedom.
Pretty much. For him, India's independence became almost a secondary issue compared to the global fight of workers and farmers.
That's a massive difference from Das or Gandhi. How did that play out practically?
Oh, for one thing, he specifically did not want India's worker and farmer movements to merge with the national non-cooperation movement.
He wanted to keep them separate. Why?
Because he saw the non-cooperation movement, especially Gandhi's leadership, through a very different lens. It's really interesting. He actually disagreed with Lenin on this.
Disagreed with Lenin? How so?
Well, Lenin apparently saw figures like Tilak as significant and even called Gandhi a mass movement inspirer. But Roy, he views Gandhi more as a religious cultural revivalist.
Wow, so he didn't see the political potential there in the same way.
Not in the way he wanted, perhaps. He saw the Indian struggle primarily through that strict Marxist class warfare framework, not national unity.
So his focus was pure class conflict. Forget the national unity aspect for now.
That seems to be the core of it, yeah. The global worker revolution was the main prize.
Okay, so a huge divergence there. What happened when he tried to actually implement these ideas back in India?
Well, after some failed attempts to stir up trouble in the army from abroad, Roy tried to make contact with leaders inside India.
Who did he target?
He believed Chittaranjan Das was progressive, someone he might be able to influence.
Ah, interesting. So he saw an opening there.
He did. In November 1922, he actually invited C.R. Das, his son Chittaranjan, and also Subhas Chandra Bose to attend the Fourth Comintern Congress.
The Communist International meeting, that's bold.
Very bold.
Yeah.
And he didn't stop there. He also arranged for the Communist Party of India's manifesto to be distributed at the Congress session in Ahmedabad.
So what was the end game? Was he trying to convert Das to full-blown communism?
That was definitely one possibility he hoped for. His underlying strategy seems to have been twofold.
Yeah.
Either convert Das completely, or failing that, kind of gradually infiltrate and take control of the worker organizations that Das was busy setting up. Use Das's platform, essentially.
Right, steer the ship towards his communist goals from within.
Exactly, a plan to co-opt the movement.
But it didn't work out, did it?
No, it ultimately failed. The government got suspicious. Publications like Starters, The Statesman started running stories suggesting deep links between Das and the Soviets, accusing Das of trying to destroy nationalism.
The plan backfired.
It did. Roy's attempt to use Chittaranjan Das as a gateway into the Congress really fizzled out.
Yeah.
And here's the crucial point, the reason why it likely failed.
Okay.
Chittaranjan Das, despite being progressive, was also a follower of Mahatma Gandhi. He fundamentally did not believe in Karl Marx's idea of class struggle.
Ah, so their core philosophies were just incompatible.
Totally incompatible. Das's political activism wasn't rooted in class war. It was rooted in something else entirely. The idea of unconditional self-sacrifice drawn from his Vaishnava beliefs.
Vaishnava, like devotion.
Yes, a kind of spiritual devotion and selflessness. So his path to Swaraj was about unity, moral upliftment, getting all parts of society to work together for the nation's welfare, not tearing society apart through class conflict.
That's a fundamental difference. And that explains why later on, even though he was such a champion for workers, he issued that warning.
Exactly. That philosophical foundation is key. Despite fighting so hard for workers and farmers, when Das was elected president of the All India Trade Union Congress in Kolkata in 1924, he gave this really significant warning. He specifically cautioned Indian workers against following the path of, quote, Western imported class conflict.
Imported conflict, so he saw it as foreign, not fitting for India.
Precisely. He argued for harmony. He called adopting that kind of class warfare doctrine a poisonous new doctrine.
Poisonous. Strong words.
Very strong. He believed it would lead to the destruction of society, of the nation itself. His point was, if workers ended up in constant conflict with capitalist merchants, the very fabric of civilization would unravel.
So what was the alternative he proposed?
Coordination. Harmony. He emphasized that Indian culture, as he saw it, was inherently about coordination, encompassing all groups, all classes within a unified whole. Uplift the oppressed, yes, but don't import a divisive ideology to do it.
A really interesting balance he was trying to strike. Now let's bring in Subhas Chandra Bose more fully. How did his views line up with Deshbandhu's on this?
Bose was very much influenced by Das, his mentor. He was acutely aware of things like the Assam-Bengal railway strike that happened just before he returned to India. He saw Das's philosophy on labor unfolding firsthand.
So he was learning directly from Das's actions and ideas.
Absolutely. And later in his own political life, Subhas Chandra Bose consistently tried to avoid all kinds of division. He worked tirelessly against Hindu-Muslim conflict, for instance.
And main focus was always?
Singular focus. India's political independence. That was job number one. And then after that, the massive task of nation building and achieving the comprehensive liberation he envisioned.
And how did he see the relationship between nationalism and, say, internationalism, especially compared to Roy?
Well, echoing Deshbandhu, Bose firmly believed that nationalism was the necessary gateway, the essential path to internationalism. You couldn't bypass it.
So nation first.
Nation first. Nationalism had to be the primary goal, the foundation. You build a strong, unified nation, and then you can engage effectively on the global stage.
And this focus, the source we looked at suggests, is part of what cemented his legacy.
Yes, the source suggests this unwavering focus on national unity and strength positions him as a worthy successor to Swami Vivekananda's vision for India.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the big takeaway for you, for our listeners?
Well, we've gone deep into these quite nuanced perspectives of Des and Bose. What really stands out, I think, is how they were both radically committed to the common person, to the masses.
Right, no question about that.
But they actively drew a line. They distinguished their approach from the kind of rigid, potentially imported class struggle that someone like M.N. Roy was proposing.
They wanted inclusion, unity, not necessarily conflict and division based on a Western model.
Exactly. They were trying to find an Indian way rooted in harmony and coordination, even while fighting injustice.
Yeah, what's really fascinating is watching them wrestle with this balancing act, isn't it? How do you mobilize the masses, fight for economic justice, which is absolutely crucial, but at the same time, preserve national identity, preserve unity, and avoid tearing the social fabric apart?
It's a huge challenge. And it really raises a question that feels incredibly relevant even today, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, in our world now, which is so interconnected, ideas just flow constantly across borders.
Yeah.
How do leaders today figure out which global concepts to embrace, which ones to adapt, maybe which ones to reject?
Right. How do you make sure that progress, maybe universal ideas of progress, actually align with the specific culture, the unique well-being of your own nation?
Exactly. What does national welfare, that phrase Das used, what does it truly demand from leaders in our complex modern era? It's something definitely worth thinking about.